Yo, 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 what's poppin', everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Mod U stream. Burp. And here we are. I appreciate that Roller Skates did not this time type you in the chat, which made me not have to say you as the opener. So I still said it, but a little bit later. Caught people off guard. Wasn't what people expected by any means. So there you go. Yeah, but I already did it before you, so it's fine. Ha! You thought I was gonna give in to the temptation. Caw, Terran Dominion. Hope you guys are having a gay old time. Today, we're going to work on a mission, if you can believe it. Now, I am also going to say we have made some pretty good progress overall on some of the changes and some of the under-the-hood improvements to Hydra. There's been a lot of refactoring going on, a lot of changes going on in that department where we're trying to improve the quality of the code, and let's just say it's harder than you might imagine. So, you know how it is. What's up, Chris? Welcome. So I was able to fix one and crash, a single crash today. However, it's, of course, always difficult to track down these things when you don't have source code access, which leads you into very silly places at the best of times. Would be nice if we had more than, count them, 3 options for the north-facing cliffs. Would indeed be nice. But, sorry, this is Blizzard. You don't get 3. Sometimes you don't get 3, but most of the time you get less than 3. Or 3, and that's it. That's what I meant to say. I got the joke eventually, guys. Promise. I am mostly together with my brain. Oh, I don't want that. There we go. Can you believe that Blizzard made it possible to have such an obvious break in their fucking tile? Can you believe this? Can you believe Blizzard thought that this was reasonable? Like, they didn't even do any work. That's in official maps. Just so you guys know. Because you couldn't copy and paste tiles in the irregular map editor, so. Just another lardism, of course. Lest we all forget. What's up, Bethrila Fall? Welcome. Speaking of 3, the man with the 3 himself has arrived. Yeah, it's up there with like the raised jungle cliffs being like sorted the wrong way. So like what should be facing right is actually facing left. And then there's also the obviously like the floating rock bug that I actually fixed both of those things in the tile set. I don't really know how to fix this one though. I guess it is possible now that I think about it. It should be feasible to go and fix this. Let's see if I'm right. So I think what happens is, I think if I can zoom this in a little bit. So these are our tiles. This is top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. And I think what's happened here is that they've got the bottom tiles wrong in some of these arrangements, but I can't be 100% certain. It might actually be out of my hand. Let's see. So if we go for like Let's find an example where it's messed up. So this is an example where it's messed up. We go here, here, and so we're going down the same row, right? Ah, but then we jump over there, which doesn't really make any sense. So basically the top and the bottom are not linked as they should be. That obviously does make some issues. So that's a little bit different than some of the other bugs that I fixed with these tiles in terms of how they were sorted. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's possible for me to fix, unfortunately. But I tried. I did look to see if I could fix the issue. And it turns out I can't. But as I said, I tried. What's up, Beaver? Ash World is nice now that we have north-facing ramps in the dirt. We've got structure added, and we've got stacked dirt, and we've got all this other stuff. It's nice. It's pretty nice. I actually just made lava that fits on the top of the tiles, like high dirt and the higher dirt that I made here. I made lava that blends with those. It doesn't actually cycle right now because I've done something wrong with the index. I guess I can fix that real quick. But it does... it will eventually move like the default lava does, which is nice because by default, your only high lava is like stuff that's been cooled down, which, like, what if you want active lava, you know? What if you want that? Nobody ever asks if you want that for some reason, so. Yeah, this is what it is by default. I just haven't finished that one. So real quick, I'm going to tile set this one. Where's my scripts? Tile set. Here we go. This magic fucking script brought to you by Darkened Fantasies. If you needed a fantasy of a man and you wanted that man to be dark, you might consider thinking about him. He's actually working on some additional improvements to the game right now, visually. He's working on updating some of the palettes so that we have more color accurate... what do you call it? More color accurate... Oh, maybe I have to change this index before I process it. More color accurate palettes for like fire and engines and stuff so that you don't get the color banding that the default game has. So that'll be really nice. I'm going to reopen this. I'm going to go in image mode and change the color table. There we go. That's what I needed to do. Now I can batch process it in with this fancy magical mantises. And after this is done, I can select all of those rainbow pixels. Oops, started typing pluses to people. There we go. We'll select all these. I don't think the purple ones are actually related. I think those are there in the default. But I don't remember. If only I had a Darkened Fantasies in the chat right now to tell me. But like I said, he's busy doing other things. All of those other things he is doing. Trying to find a better example with a lot of purples. Anyway, we'll get our answer from him shortly. I'm just going to peer on through and see if I can find any additional suspect colors, but I don't think so. They're all like super bright where there's supposed to be indexes or color cycling. I think we've got everything. So what we want to do now is we want to take this layer here and we're going to layer via cut. And we are going to we're going to draw 1 pixel. Oh no, we can actually do this even more cleverer. Draw 1 pixel in the top right, 1 pixel in the bottom right. We can duplicate this layer into our ESD file. We'll call it cycle. And we can move it over this. And we can delete that pixel at the top. Well, I guess we can actually keep them now that I think about it, just in case we need to leave them there. And now we've got the same things in the same positions that they were before. Now the only thing we need to do is find any cases of the pixels that we don't want. And I kind of gave it away there. We have to mask to remove them. I guess I'll just mask exactly the pixel that I want to get rid of. Kind of weird that it exists on one of them, but not the other. Blizzard was very consistent with their behaviors. I think that might be the only one that I wanted to get rid of, though. I think all of the other ones seem fine. I don't see any that I'd rather do without, so I guess that's it. In fact, no. Okay, that makes sense to get rid of. Okay, so now we've got this. We can save it. We can close this. We can... yeah, I think we index this with the regular... Well, I guess we could index it with Dash World Cycle B. We'll save this BMP as Lava Edge 3. Undo the cycling. Toggle that layer on. Do the same index. Save it as Lava Edge 2. Undo that. And then save as Lava Edge PSD. We can minimize, we can take these 2 files, and we can add them to our tile set. I will save my brush again, just in case, and then close that. I don't remember what the last thing is that I edited. Ash World. And we're going to import Lava Edge 2. Import Lava Edge 3. And using our group selection magic, we are going to select all of these, shift height up, just select the high tile, shift height up again, then switch to buildability. I feel like there ought to be a hotkey to make something completely walkable / unwalkable when group selecting. But I guess I would have to configure my generate height from walkability thing or whatever. And that would have to be how I do that in a en masse, but this is already almost done, so it's not really that big of a deal. Ah, the different letters of the alphabet have combined. Oh shit, what do we got here? Veek has sent me some information and then said, you, baby's first mod, that's me! Oh my god, staredit.net, a source for your gaming improvements! Oh my god, I'm so good at modding! Babby's first mod! Alright, sorry, I had to call out staredit.net for being shit. I'll have to take a look at this when I'm not streaming some Brood War stuff. But good to see that you went away into the dojo and tried to figure some stuff out. Okay. Now, I have to jump into the mega tile thing and cull all of these unused mega tiles. And save. I have to set this to mini tile. And call them mini tiles. Now, the problem here, Veek, is that I did notice that the extension of this file was called CPP and not Go. So what gives? Is it just not feasible to do in Go? Because I did really like the idea of like multi-threaded optimizations and a bunch of other stuff that Go had. Like, it just seems like a better language to actually write in. So it would be better for our enjoyment. But I know that that might not work out. Oh, that's great. Well, it just crashed. Bye. That's fine. That's why we saved. We will now clear the mini tiles again, and hopefully it works this time. Epic. It did work this time. All right, homies. Let's go ahead and add this shit to our tile set, or our MPQ. Whatever. Oh yeah, this should be called Hydra Pick, and then moved over here. But it's just not possible. What I'm saying is, like, definitively, you've more or less discovered it's not feasible for Go. All right. Let's pop this in here. Now, if I were to draw some high lava, like so, and then I were to go into tile set index, I actually have this in a brush palette form as well, so whatever. I must scroll to L for lava, and also for started.net. It's animating. It's animating. It's anime. So I guess we did that part correctly. Of course. The 3 lethal. I am trying to find the... Oh, I guess I would just do this tile. Well, I would want to do this tile, actually. But then I could do this tile. Except I don't actually know what that looks like. I guess that would mean it would be this as the back end. Oh, yeah. I guess that... Wait, does that blend? Yeah, it does. Okay, cool. Interesting. Well, there you go. Lava on high ground, homie. Mesk is still in a sort of catatonic state, probably, from losing his cat a while ago, and doesn't seem to give a fuck about anything. And Lavarinth, I'd never talked to. I guess technically I was on a podcast with him, but that was like so long ago. And then I got banned from campaign creation. So I haven't talked to the guy. I can't say that I have a good relationship with him or anything. Although, admittedly, this is so long ago now that I don't really care that much. But don't know the guy, don't talk to him, so no idea. It feels it seems unlikely that anybody would get upset over, well, anybody would stay upset for years over like spamming on a Ventrilo server for like less than an hour. Want to say like over 6 or 7 years ago now. But there are goofy people out there in the world. Did you know? Well, I don't know. I honestly haven't thought about Labyrinth in like long time. So I imagine it's much the same for like I imagine that reality is mutual. I can't imagine he thinks about me too much. So I would imagine it's just distant memory by this point. Yeah, I guess that. Maybe you guys are right. I don't know. But I've been a pretty good boy as far as Starcraft related drama goes. I haven't done anything untoward or said anything mean or well, maybe I have, but it's been on my own fucking like space. It hasn't been 2 people, so there you go. I'm a good boy. I imagine he would just say much the same as that I said, to be honest. I guess it kind of was. It was. I don't remember. No, I think more recently than that was the whole like Necron voiding, but even that was years ago. So yeah, it's been a wild fucking ride. I almost just greeted Viker as if he had just now come to the chat, but actually he's been here the whole time. So, hi. My plan for this map. Well, I want the Zerg to start off in this area because I think it's really interesting to have, in theory, you've got like the two Terrans in on either side, but you have a decent amount of freedom to move around the map from this point. So you could go like north, you could go, directly to the east, you could go northwest. There's a couple of different directions you can initially go. I'll probably even start you off slightly up more than where the start location is, so you can technically expand south as well. Although that will be a kind of a dead end, perhaps, or a one-way street or whatever. You can only go so far, right? It's kind of limited in scope. However, like the bulk of the gameplay space that I suspect will be used is actually up here. So getting past the Terrans is almost going to be seen as like graduating to the full map, if that makes any sense. Where you've got more conflict happening between two teams up here. While they also will send like occasional forces down here as well. But you almost want to, it's like a smaller version of the Battle Royale concept that I theorized for RTSs, where you kind of have to conquer your quadrant before getting to the bigger stakes, the big leagues, the survivors of the conflict in another quadrant, and taking them head on because they happen to be your nearest neighbor. Here it'll be like, you got to survive these two Terrans, and then at the same time, those two Terrans are maybe more likely than you are to get hit by some of the free-for-all guys up here. And then after you've survived the two Terrans, you can move on to clearing the map over here. Now, in theory, that will completely change depending on the run to run. I think maybe, for example, you might have a player who tries to rush down this right side guy to get more of this area secured so that he can take this quadrant of the map in the bottom right and then levy that against some of the other players that are up here. There's all sorts of different things that could happen realistically, so I'm really interested to see how that plays out. You could also decide the same thing, rush down this guy, get the two bases that are going to be on that little, not really an island, but it's connected by bridges, so this sort of quadrant of the map or eighth of the map or whatever. I think there'll be a nice little bit of balance there between a bunch of different angles. And once you knock out either one of the adjoining Terrans, you're actually going to be really well off by comparison, because if you think about it, you kill this Terran guy, then that leaves not just the two bases in his area, but there's going to be like a base here and a base here in these general vicinities. And you also get access to a bunch of really important highways to the top left of the map, so to speak. And if you knock out this guy, it's much the same way. You'll get all the bases that he was guarding, all the bases in his area, in theory, will be up for grabs, at least contended by somebody farther away, so you have the defender's advantage there. And then you can use that to parlay more resources, more units, etc., into the top half of the map. So I don't really know if that's an answer to your question as far as what my plan is for the map. But that was kind of how I was thinking how the gameplay would evolve. As far as development goes, I'm mostly just trying to fashion some of the environments here. Obviously, I did do some custom terrain with the lava stuff at multiple levels, and I don't really 100% know how the outline is going to take shape just yet. This is a bigger map than the desert map that I was working on, but it's not massively bigger to the point where I feel like I'm out of the woods in terms of designing an area that can be handled in a different way. And this map also doesn't have as strong a centerpiece, if that makes any sense. Right now, I don't have that fully developed. I know there's going to be an island, or at least I want to try experimenting with an island over here. It is an island that is like flyover country, basically. Like, this is actually going to be a pivotal piece of land to intercept air armies and transports when we fix AI usage of transports anyway. So there is a lot riding on this area, as a matter of fact. And then, obviously, maybe like an AI will fast expand to this island. I don't know. The other thing that I might convert it into is like bridges across the middle of it so that it serves as a fast connector. And it happens to also have like a super high yield, like 4 gas base or something crazy, that if you end up taking, yeah, it can massively help you. But odds of you holding on to it for too long, unless you have pretty good dominance in the area, it will be expensive to maintain in terms of action economy and also the presence of units that you have to have over there. So that might almost be kind of a poisoned chalice in a way. But certainly you'll want to eliminate maybe this Protoss player that's the blue start location, and then the Terran player that's the green start location before you can even really think about comfortably taking the space. That'll be kind of its own little interesting area. Yeah, for development, I think I'll just try to focus on designing a proper sort of like, not really centerpiece in the sense of exact middle of the map, but just a good courtyard system going on for where the bulk of the battles will be. I think I've got a good read on what I want overall, where I know that one of the courtyards is actually going to be like right outside your base area with this structure. I know that's going to be a courtyard against this player in the bottom left, as well as probably against this player, unless you've expanded outward a little bit. Like then at that point, the courtyard is like up here and then up here and then maybe down here. So I've got that kind of shaping up, and I got this like nice little area over here for players to enjoy some height adjustments and stuff. But yeah, we're still figuring the overall designs out. It's not yet been solidified necessarily. So if there's, hopefully that did answer your question. And if there's something else, let me know. I do think it's going to be challenging to actually place a base here. Originally, there weren't going to be these ramps, and I was just going to dot the whole, this almost like semi-circle thing with root minerals, but seems unlikely. Unless I do actually want to get rid of these two ramps, which doesn't necessarily sound like the worst idea in the world. It just means that this bridge and connector over here become a significantly more important, significantly more imperative to hold if you want to secure this area, because you kind of get funneled. Like maybe I move this up into the right 1 or 2 tiles, and that helps this a little bit. But you kind of get, if these aren't here, you pretend these aren't here, these ramps, then if you're trying to take a base that's placed here, like by the lava, and you actually want to defend it with an army movement, and the attack is coming from the north or some other area, like maybe it's coming up through this bridge, through this whole area, this courtyard, and then up through this ramp and around. That does put you in a precarious position because you have to reinforce through this area, and you do get bottlenecked a little bit by that terrain, and then in general by the fact that you have to build a base here. Like that's obviously also going to eat away at some of the movement space. And then there's probably going to be like a ramp over here or something as well coming out from the other area. So this could be its own kind of poisoned chalice. I think I do remove these ramps to make room for build space and mineral space and all that. But I think I also add like a ton of, this is probably a 3 gas base just based on the fact that it's going to be pretty tough to hold. So I guess I should close this Photoshop program for now. And yeah, with any luck, we'll actually be able to close this map out in terms of development, because we won't have issues with crashes anytime soon. I would like to get back to map crapping and all that. It is just too easy, isn't it? The fact that I actually have a tournament mapping workshop called Map Crap. All right. So we've kind of terraformed this area over. I think we just keep on going in that respect. And the other thing that this allows is, in theory, if you wanted to place some high range units over here, you could actually pelt anybody coming up from this this area over here. So, especially with the range advantage that Hydra gives you. So, could be big, to be honest. And then, yeah, I do think this moves up and to the right. Oh, hold on. There you go. That way you can do a straight shot, or you can curve around. Instead of it being like forcing you to curve around no matter which direction you wanted to go in. It's infinitely better, even though it's such a minor change. And then we'll actually place our resources there later on. In fact, I guess we can do that now. It is kind of interesting for me to keep track of which bases actually come first in terms of which ones I actually place first. Pretty funny. Oh. There we go. Placing them for the proper player. Always helps. All right. I think that works out quite well. Yeah, I do think that maybe this works better with like as an actual mainland connector type thing. So maybe we do that. And I'll come back and pretty this area up a little bit later. For now. Do we only want a small passageway and then have like the... I think even that is pretty bad, right? We probably want a slightly larger path. Like 2 wide instead of 1 wide. That's probably good enough. Let's do that. Okay. Pranked myself there. All right. Obviously, we want to line this up. I am tempted, of course, to have like a third exit out here, but it's probably fine. This is probably where like some of the resources will end up being. Add a bit of build space. And again, it's very messy right now, especially with all the repetitive tiles, but not that big of a deal. I'll change up the blends as well later on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, interesting. I guess I should actually extend this further out then. And this as well. It's always the way, isn't it? I tell myself I'll pretty this up later. I'll make it look better later, but then I can't stand to look at it until it's actually somewhat reasonable. I will not update these, though. This is the last straw, surely. I'll finish sealing the holes, and that's it. Okay. Well, we've done that. Now, let's get the player a base. IMO. Now, the obvious problem with putting the player's resources up here is that they 100% will need a very fast rotate up to accommodate for any harassment that comes from the north. Which maybe this is sort of like in Consummate Map 5 style, in that you want to encourage the player to have like a base up top. Obviously, I didn't give the player a resource area up top. I just gave them a fucking starting hatchery, so that's pretty dumb. We don't want to repeat that, obviously. But something similar in theory could work out quite well, I think. I guess we just do one. That's fine. And then we can do 2 wide here. And then we draw the resources out like this. I also think we give the player a pretty reasonable home field advantage in terms of... We're not giving them that in terms of terrain, necessarily coming from this guy on the right. We are obliged, since they are 1 versus 2 at the beginning of the map, to give them some sort of advantage in maybe pre-placed units, minimally, but also in terms of pre-placed resources in their base. I think that's probably a good idea, broadly speaking, where we provide them with like double gas in their main, maybe 10, 11, 12 mineral fields, and then maybe slightly higher starting resources. They are supposed to have been here for a little while, so I think it makes sense. I guess, coincidentally, this update that we're making work for Hydra, will obviously have the new Matroleth morphs, formerly known as the Queen, of course. Take the Matroleth and give it the Convolsc and the Achystra core, these ranged unit, the Convolsc, that's actually a ground unit, morphed from an air unit, which is a first. And the idea behind that unit is that it obviously applies Parasite to any unit that it attacks, and this is the new parasite, of course, the one that causes broodlings or broodlisks, depending on whether it's an air or ground unit, to be spawned, which is quite interesting for compared to the default ability, and quite powerful as an on-hit effect. So yeah, there's all sorts of interesting elements there. Basically, it'll allow players to make use of some of these, like explore some of these tech tree changes for the Zerg specifically. Technically, we will probably also have a Lazaleths. Since I have the graphic for them in now. Let's do this. So we can have a pretty easy extra base down here, which again will follow similar rules in terms of needing and necessitating some sort of high ground base. But I think we do all this and we leave this area mostly open and not having a base or whatever. Or we could go the other way and actually put a base here that this player tries to expand to early on or something. That could be interesting. We'll think about that. But yeah, my thoughts are ramp here, ramp down here, and a high ground base up here, and maybe even a high ground base up here. Not sure about that one. Like, it could very easily go against this like upper ridge up here. But we'll see. But I feel pretty good about this base area and this base area. Obviously, we are going to want to try and isolate them a little bit. So maybe we do something like... well, I guess, do we have the ramp? Yeah, we do. Let's do this. I'll add some doodads later to make it look more destructo. What's up, James Gilchrist? I did not know anything about Jeff Gershman. That sounds like a meme last name, Gershman. I did hear something about I think this was some Game Informer thing, or no, I don't remember which of these outlets did this, but there was some case where they didn't get, like, the mask slipped, basically, because the money stopped coming through or something, and so the reaction was just to give the game, like, pan the game and give it a bad review or whatever. Oh, you know what we need here, actually, is we need to axe that ramp. Then we need to pull this in. And... alright, just get rid of that as well, then. And then we can give them an even more direct route up here, where we can provide them with... dun, 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 dun. Where's my fucking ramp? Here it is. Give them that. Or maybe we do want it to be smaller. Maybe we want it to be like this. I don't know. Guess we'll find out. All right, let's grab some resources. All right, let's commit to something like that. We're going to go full fucking hog wild with this resource allocation, I think, in terms of the pattern that we choose. We've got 11 right now, but some of them are pretty far away, and the others kind of difficult to actually defend in some cases. Let's move this down. I don't really like it being down right in front of the ramp, though. Let's move this one over here, maybe. There's not really any natural place for it to go, is there? Certainly don't want to occupy that area down there. So what if we were to just move these out of the way for now? We'll drop this bad boy here. And then we will... Oh, I see, yeah. I actually, funnily enough, I do know the Kane and Lynch game. I don't know if it, about like the full franchise. I guess there's 2 games. But let's just say I was, I never was expecting too much out of it. It seems like one of those titles that, like I obviously wasn't aware of any untoward developer behavior, but I'll say it doesn't surprise me that that was the backstory there. I wouldn't be surprised if there were even more cases of stuff like, or maybe a lot of cases of stuff like that being the... Jesus. Nice clipboard. Stuff that rubbed the developers the wrong way, so to speak. There we go. I think that's slightly more sane. I don't know, though. Yeah, okay. You can put a base there. The fuck? How's that even possible? Why, laws of physics? Why? Why doesn't it go back in the hole? Oh, there we go. I got it in, boys. No worries. You guys like my engine dev thumbnail? Pog champ, dude. Should I prank them and give them a pre-placed Zorius shroud? I kind of like that idea. Here's what I'll build first. Nice fucking graphic, by the way. Here's what I'll build first. Zorius the left. There you go. I can't believe I have to look at this the whole time. Surely I can fix that. Oh. Is Thraith Mound? There we go. It doesn't change anything in the actual game, but it'll at least fix the display of that shit in the editor. Okay, cool. Jesus. When your game is so bad that nobody even, well, at least when your pitch is so bad. I'm sure there's plenty of good ideas that just fell apart because nobody knew how to pitch correctly. But that's pretty bad, man. It's what we call inexcusable in the hood. All right, well, there you go, man. We got a fucking base. And they've got not an Ultra Core. This is not an Ultra Core. This is a Zoryusta left. See? Zoryusta. And that's not a Defiler Mound or an Isthraith Mound, as it were. That's a Zorius Shroud. And that's not a creep colony. That is a larval colony. Okay? Let me be very clear. Wait, did I prank even myself with this? What the fuck? I did, somehow. Alright. It's Mineralis time, boys. Map making man. Hell yeah, dude. And if you think this is a map, wait till you see my crap. You know what I mean? Let's see. Ah! No. 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 Why? How? This is illegal. What the fuck, dude? Why does it always break? There we go. That works fine. Oh. Can't believe I have to put a trigger into center view because Lard is so stupid. Oh, shit. I guess this guy will end up getting a safe natural. Or safe main, I guess. Probably. This is always a tricky situation, isn't it? I think we do this. Then try that. Maybe even moving them down a couple. Yeah, I guess that's fine. We accidentally into an appropriate orientation. Expansion oriented. Let's do this. I'm cognizant of the potential for abuse when you place resources up against cliff faces like this, but kind of strained for space, aren't I? Okay, that's all the same AI town. That's pretty good. We have... Oh, yeah. So this guy has like a decent amount of minerals, but is kind of limited on gas. So this will probably be our sort of ranger scrapyard focused one. As far as leaving room for maneuverability of ground units and stuff, I think we'll probably just expand this out, won't we? Then we can pull this in slightly. I was quite fond of the overall like orientation of the terrain over here, but I can always make it look good again later. Oh, maybe we don't need it that far out, actually. Don't want to get carried away. Yeah, I guess that worked out fine. All things considered. Oops. Yeah, bro. Always making maps. Releasing them, maybe not. But making them? Hell yeah. Alright, let me see. Just need to move this down. Wow. Good one. Okay, now we have... We will need to flesh out this area slightly. Maybe something like a little bit of magma down here. It would be nice. Shall we change that to it will be nice? There you go. Keep that positivity mental attitude. I think that's an old reference. Nobody's gonna get that one, but there was a man who came up with that one. Well, we were also on a bit of a time crunch for that one, TBH, but one of the main things that we wanted to accomplish with that, I think, was the dedication system and some other stuff related to... Wait, actually, I don't fully remember. I think the issues that we ran into were more like on a system level, like CCMU and stuff. But yeah, there were a couple of like tech tree related things we wanted to make changes for, and obviously, oh, another one was like additional workers, like the advanced worker system and stuff. But in order to do that, we needed to make massive changes to the underlying AI systems. So, like, we basically, in order to make that happen, even now, we need to hook every function that references an AI worker and then have them sort between different unit IDs. Yeah, that wouldn't even surprise me. It is staggering the number of opportunities and map options and stuff that are just left on the table until we can figure out a way to actually have CCMU resolved. I'm going to shrink that by 1 tile. A bit too aggro out there. Okay. I feel like we're on the right track for some of this stuff. I feel like we do want to tidy this area up in the bottom left, and we want to maybe add something that you can use to... like maybe a little tiny area over here that can be used defensively for this player. I guess since this is a Terran player, it would even make sense to make this structure, actually. So let me find that. That's almost a no-brainer. And this one will be one way, so you can go up it, and that's it. So we'll just have this be utilized by the AI, hopefully naturally. We'll see. Obviously, the AI is pretty dumb, so no guarantees there, unfortunately. Guess we can do busted up store or something. I don't know what makes sense as a doodad. Not really anything, does it? Yeah, that's all right. We will drop this. So the other thing is I have to go find the here we go. So that extends that forward. There is still a tiny block there in the top left that I never fixed up, but that'll be something I can finagle later on, I guess. Well, the problem is, in order to make something playable, you basically have to limit yourself to like 4 players or something. Epic. All right. Now I feel like, yeah, as I was saying, I feel like we've got a really good. This actually developed massively quickly compared to what I was expecting. Like, I wasn't expecting to be able to suddenly look back and see, oh yeah, I've put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases in the map already. And then obviously there's space down here for another one. I just got to reshuffle that area slightly. Maybe add a tiny bit of additional like magma over here or something. So that's pretty good. And then we further develop this bottom right area. We start setting things up for the Terran player over there. Which start location is this? Okay. Terran Mason. Iquare did mention earlier today that he wants to add some unit AI or some AI handling for some of this stuff. For like magical weapon switch and stuff like that. Okay, we want a different top there. So I was originally thinking, oh yeah, maybe I can still do that actually, because I feel like that would be better. We'll make this I think we'll make this one a double gas. Whoa, I'll do that. One of them up there, and one of them down there, so that they're on different sizes. One thing I do want to try to start encouraging, or like leaving open the opportunity for, is base areas where you go for one mineral field, or one geyser rather, but maybe not another because of the defensibility. I don't know if that's very realistic in terms of like still having a useful, like utilitarian base area. But I think that's kind of a neat experiment idea anyway, is throwing something like that around. Could be interesting. Let's do shell right there. Oh wait, I can't do that. Never mind. I'll just throw some doodad over here. Doing the dads. You know what's really whack is that I almost view all of the I almost view every doodad as a placeholder because like eventually I would like, you know, map specific art and stuff. Or at least like more involved biome specific art. But that's something I'm definitely well, I'll say I'm unlikely to get developed anytime soon. So. That seems even more of a pipe dream than anything else that has been theorized that I can remember. Maybe it's more likely to get that than it is to get the player limit raised or something, but seems nuts. I wonder about. I was thinking more about something that Veek said when I was talking with him about the CCMU extender and our trials and tribulations that iQuare and I have undergone, mostly iQuare, trying to figure out how to extend that properly. And one of the things that Veek had mentioned was, well, one of the things that iQuare had mentioned is that he was basically convinced that what was happening is that there were things that we didn't know about that were accessing the old unit array because something was crashing on, I can't remember if it was game startup or map startup. But it might have been as soon as you launched the EXE. It might have been as soon as you got into a game. But very, very soon after one of those two things, it was crashing. And Veek said that it might be related to, or Veek said it should be possible to find every function that is, or like a traceback or whatever of all functions that call the original arrays, which is what iQuare also wanted to do. At least I think I'm getting this right. Veek may have been talking about something completely different, but I think that's something that was happening in the conversation. And the idea is that if we can get a tool that automatically does that, then in theory we could extend anything, because anything that's related to an array or a list or whatever, we could find everything that accesses that array, all functions that access that array, and automatically gather the information and generate mem patches for them, in theory. But that's a very theoretical thing. That is like a, you know, wormholes, white holes, or whatever. That's that theoretical. Jesus. Forgot that Metal Fatigue was a game. Or maybe it's not really a game. Maybe I didn't forget. Okay. I think I've prettied this area up enough for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 3 plus 3 bases. That's pretty cool. So I guess our next target will be this bottom right guy. Do I have any time is the question. I think I have a couple more minutes. So I'll take a break, BRB, get some water, all that shit. And when I come back, we will tackle the some other stuff. We will tackle some additional things in this map. So stay tuned. All right, I have returned. So I guess I have to figure out how much gameplay space I want this bottom right-hand area to see. And I think as a pathway, it makes sense because it's like a pathway between the some terrain that threatens the natural as well as some terrain that will lead to the Zerg base. So as a bit of a sort of a pathway between this Terran player, it makes sense. The Terran player and the Zerg player makes sense. The question becomes like, do I want an actual expansion to be here? It feels like there is room for an expansion here, but that kind of muddies the waters at the same time. So I don't know if I want to go for that. I was also thinking that maybe this area could just be reserved for build space. Another thing I'm experimenting with, although it's really hard to make the AI make use of this stuff without essentially pre-placing, like, or not pre-placing, but forcing the AI to use pre-scripted locations for their bases and stuff. Something I'm experimenting with is actually leaving areas open for both gameplay, like fighting and stuff, but also for build area. Like you can just use the opportunity to build a bunch of fucking hatcheries up here or whatever. I don't know that many players would ever do that, but it's something I would like to continue messing around with anyway. That being said, I do know that I want to ramp up here, so I will toss that this way. And then maybe another one over here as well, so that you get a little bit of action going this area. Okay. Sure, that'll work. Yeah, I think maybe based on how this is shaping up so far, I probably want there's going to be some high ground over here, and then I think I want some high ground up here as well to embrace an expansion. I think that makes the most sense so far out of the options that I've considered. So I'll get to work placing those. Here we want a double. Oh, interesting. I don't think I ever actually made extension tiles for this. wonder how I handled this before. I guess just like this. I don't know. Okay. I'll have to fix that graphic a little bit later on. Oh shit, this is the moment of truth. Did I do my homework correctly? Yeah, I think I did. All right, we'll do this. Whoa. Oh yeah, I forgot about crevices. And how could I? Have to do those later. All right. Oh, wrong level. So this one obviously won't have any ramps up it, but that's not that big of a deal. Let's do that, I guess. Oh. I have pranked myself. Stuff that over there then. There we go. There's the fix. Okay. Part of me wants to experiment with really giving the player an interesting angle and starting the one of the Terran players up here instead of above it, but I don't think that's necessarily. This is a pretty safe base, so I am going to cut down a bit on the resources since it has 2 gas. And I think we'll use this opportunity to throw an extra ramp up here. Maybe only a 1 length ramp. Something like that. That should be good. I don't really have any immediate ideas for the would-be base down in the bottom right, or I guess mid-right-ish. So I think I'll just do my very ballsy quad gas, quote-unquote, centerpiece. And we'll see how this shapes up. Be an interesting experiment indeed. One of the other things that I can kind of get away with here that I wouldn't be able to get away with if the player was any race other than Zerg is I can kind of make it seem like you should put more than 1 resource area or resource container or depot or whatever in each individual area. But at the same time, I can't say that with a straight face because obviously like one of the things that's been massively influential over the last little bit has been the changes to the fact that, you know, you've got the treasury that you can build to serve as a advanced drop-off point and all that. And then you've got the, you know, in addition to the hatchery stuff that's already there for Zerg, I guess you don't have anything like that for Protoss, but... That's the only real thing that you're missing, I think. Okay. We've got only 12. Oh. The quad gas. With 13 resources, 13 mineral fields. All right, boys. I think that'll do it, though. We've conquered quite a bit of this map already. I think we've got a pretty good couple lanes of engagement against for our two current players that are placed on the map. This guy will obviously get his main set up and maybe a defensible north-facing expansion as well as the south-facing one. And yeah, then we'll be in pretty reasonable shape, I think. I will go ahead and drop the high shale up here to mark our idealized base location there. And then I guess the regular shale over here for the quad gas. And then obviously I'll slap something over there later when I have an actual base. But that has been the stream. Pretty good stuff, pretty good progress. We're jumping further along as time goes on with heavier gas counts and all that shit. Stay tuned for some time in the next couple of days. I think I should be live tomorrow at some point, actually. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you boys very soon. Bye-bye.